HD TV on the wall. Who's the fairest one of all?
Excuse me. Your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you?
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters?
Rachel Zegler's rumored outburst on Instagram Live wasn't just emotional, it was explosive. The timing suspiciously aligned with that Rick and Morty episode that reportedly took a direct jab at Disney's doomed Snow White reboot, and what ensued wasn't just a surge of memes or snarky tweets. This was full-blown chaos, a multi-million-dollar box office disaster.
Nobody
Who
wants
wants
that.
a movie about true love? What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? The outrage.
Have they ever thought about maybe like a little bit of like, I don't know, vulnerability study, opposition research, that sort of thing before you go and hire some Zoomer who's a lunatic?
And you know the saying, go woke, get broke, and Disney's going to lose money on this movie. And I believe it only made less than $1 million.
Controversy in Snow White. The dwarves have been eliminated in the live action.
Yeah.
Now it's Snow White and the 7 magical beings.
Wait, it's 7 and the magical beings.
Yeah,
They won't even
7
say
magical
and the 7
beings.
dwarves.
No, because they're not dwarves. For right now, that's the only jobs that are there.
Fan uprisings, industry murmurs. And now Zegler's public image is dangling by a thread. Reportedly mid-April, Rachel Zegler went live on Instagram, and what transpired was hard to overlook amid tears and fragmented sentences. She vented about being shredded by the internet.
For remaking the movie, they just got rid of the dwarfs. But they have one token dwarf amongst these magical creatures. You actually just went backwards. You actually just erased the dwarfism side of it. The disability, like we're a disability group. You just erased that whole...
The new Disney boss babe, who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse of...
I wanted my money back. It was very disappointing.
Oh my God.
Last week was a very big week, objectively a huge week. We had quite a few announcements as first live-action film, which is Snow White and the Evil Queen. And that's me, I'm Snow White, which is so funny.
But let's be honest, this wasn't your typical bad day. It reportedly surfaced just hours after that viral Rick and Morty satire aired, mocking the entire Snow White reboot and allegedly skewering Zegler's performance in brutal cartoon style. Viewers claim she reportedly yelled off camera at one point. Others noticed she deleted the live shortly after too late. Those screen recordings were everywhere and the reaction brutal.
Pretending like Rachel Zegler is the first of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film.
Doing catastrophically. They spent $300 million and it currently has a 2.2 out of 10 rating on IMDb.
The movie has a major identity crisis.
Rachel Zegler, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantada is the only global solution.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
TikTok was inundated with breakdown montages and Reddit forums ignited with people saying this outburst was the final straw. Some even allegedly claimed Zegler was unraveling, and it wasn't the first time. So what exactly did Rick and Morty do that shook her in the alleged season 9 premiere? The show aired a segment titled Woke White.
They spent $170 million to make the thing, and it had the lowest opening, under $50 million, of any of these live-action Disney remakes that they've ever had.
It's got extra musical numbers that are incredibly unnecessary that really add to that runtime. And let me go ahead and let you know that they're absolutely f***ing atrocious.
They say all you have to do to make your wish come true is let it echo, 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 echo.
Where a CGI Snow White lectured villagers on patriarchy, consent, and climate change before clumsily singing a new tune called I Don't Need No Man. Except when it's convenient, fans reportedly went wild. Twitter erupted, the parody mocked Zegler's now infamous red carpet quote about the original 1937 Snow White being weird and stalkery. Rick literally says, "She's not the fairest of them all, she's the whiniest." And the cartoon version looked strikingly like Zegler reportedly. This was no coincidence. Industry insiders said animators allegedly based her movements on footage from her 2023 D23 panel interview. Disney hasn't responded, but Rick and Morty, writers reportedly hinted they weren't impressed with the new Snow White vibe. The Snow White remake was already plummeting with a budget allegedly topping $270 million. The film only managed to limp past $184 million worldwide. That's a financial abyss even by Disney standards, and the fallout wasn't just monetary. Movie theaters reportedly began yanking it from prime screens within 3 weeks. Merch sales Catastrophic Target and Walmart allegedly had Snow White dolls tossed into clearance. Bins with some stores refusing to restock them. Recall when Frozen merch couldn't stay on shelves? Yeah, this was the opposite of that. Executives allegedly blamed PR distractions, translation, Zegler's interviews, TikTok rants, and that alleged air of superiority she brought to the role once celebrated for her breakout in West Side Story. Zegler's rise has reportedly tarnished People Haven't Forgotten the series of press interviews where she criticized the original. Snow White joked about disliking the prince and allegedly said the movie would focus on leadership, not love. Even Disney fans, normally fiercely loyal, started turning YouTube channels, reportedly posted reaction videos labeling her the worst Disney princess ever on TikTok. Creators allegedly stitched clips of her interviews with reactions like, "Girl, just stop talking." One alleged PR rep from Disney even told an anonymous gossip blog that Zegler had become uncontrollable, whether true or not. The narrative stuck. The Rick and Morty episode didn't just lampoon the film, it allegedly triggered Disney's alarm. Button sources inside Disney's Burbank office reportedly claimed the legal team was assessing their parody tolerance threshold, which is a fancy way of saying, do we sue or stay quiet? But the real sting that episode made allegedly more cultural impact in 22 minutes than Snow White's entire theatrical run. And it didn't stop there. Memes reportedly emerged with side-by-sides of Zegler sobbing on Instagram and cartoon. Snow White yelling, "I'm an icon, not a footnote. This wasn't just comedy, it was Bloodsport." And Zegler's team reportedly scrambling for damage control. Zegler's camp is allegedly in full crisis mode. One insider said her publicists have reportedly pitched fake dating rumors, surprise cameos, and even a charity pivot to soften her image. It's full-blown spin season. The source said they're hoping people forget by summer. Others reportedly suggested removing her from remaining Snow White promos entirely, not recasting her but erasing her reportedly. That's how dire the situation has become. Meanwhile, reps from Disney reportedly started discreetly contacting other actresses about upcoming fairy tale roles. The message: no more Zegler-level gambles. Here's the thing behind the polished press releases and fake smiles. Disney is reportedly furious. According to multiple alleged insider leaks, the studio's internal focus groups didn't just raise concerns about Rachel Zegler's performance, they launched red flares. Words like irritating, unrelatable, condescending, and too online were allegedly used by panelists across demographics. One exec reportedly called the feedback the most disconnected audience response Disney has ever gotten for a lead character. And the worst part, it wasn't just adults saying this. The kids, the actual target audience, reportedly didn't like her either. Test screenings allegedly showed that young viewers lost interest halfway through the movie. Some reportedly got bored. Others allegedly asked, "Why is Snow White mad all the time?" This wasn't just a misstep, it was a full-blown identity crisis for the Mouse House. Let's talk merch, because that's where the revenue lives. Halloween 2024 was supposed to be a cash cow for the new Snow White brand. Disney had reportedly partnered with dozens of retail giants for full costume rollouts, deluxe dresses, collectible dolls, themed accessories. The whole machine was primed. Then the numbers came in, and they were dismal pre-orders. For Snow White, costumes reportedly crashed, a reported 73% lower than the 2019 Frozen 2 drop. Retailers reportedly panicked. Shelves were stocked. Parents weren't buying. Why? According to internal surveys, the most common answer was simple. My kid didn't like that. Snow White reportedly won Walmart. Executive said, "We haven't seen movement this slow since the John Carter toys." Some reportedly tried to pivot, offering discounted bundles or pairing Snow White dresses with Elsa-themed stickers. It didn't help. Dolls started appearing in dollar stores. Themed backpacks were reportedly pulled entirely from two major chains. Meanwhile, licensed merch partners flipped out, according to one alleged leak. A major toy brand who previously had a decade-long partnership with Disney reportedly lobbied for the studio to re-release the 1937 original in theaters to cleanse the brand and reset the narrative. Think about that. Merch companies urged Disney to erase the reboot and return to basics. That's how badly this thing flopped internally. The damage reportedly rattled the C-suite execs had spent years championing. The reboot strategy, pitching it as bold, modern, culturally relevant. But now, with retailers bailing and costume aisles collecting dust, they reportedly realized they'd wagered on the wrong horse. And that horse was tweeting too much, insiders now say Disney is entirely rethinking how it casts and presents its princesses. No more chasing viral sound bites, no more social justice monologues disguised as fairy tales. One exec reportedly said, the next wave of princess leads will be relatable, soft-spoken and emotionally intelligent. A far cry from Zegler's ice-cold, sarcastic delivery, even casting calls have reportedly shifted. Talent agents say Disney's latest internal memos now prioritize charm, warmth, and wide appeal, activism not on the list. There are even whispers of a new unofficial vetting rule, a kind of Rachel clause, if you will. Actors who've gone viral for mocking legacy content, trashing fans, or spouting overly aggressive opinions during press junkets, reportedly blacklisted quietly. Of course, no official bans. Just radio silence, and if you're wondering whether Zegler will be invited back for sequels, spin-offs, or theme park promotions, don't hold your breath. One source inside, Imagineering, reportedly said she'll never walk through the gates of Disneyland in costume, not after this brutal. But here's the twist. This isn't just about one actress. It's about Disney realizing it can't fake authenticity. You can't repackage rebellion in a tiara and expect magic parents. No kids. No, the audiences knew the moment Zegler opened her mouth and threw the 1937 classic under the bus. So now Disney's stuck trying to restore trust. And they're reportedly doing it the only way they know how, by rewriting the script again. What does all this mean for Rachel Zegler's future in Hollywood? In short, it's reportedly in free fall behind the scenes studio. Execs are reportedly wary. Her name is now tied to backlash, bad press, and bloated budgets that don't deliver, one reported. Source from a top streaming platform said Zegler's involvement in a pitch meeting instantly sparked risk reassessment. Translation: the project stalled. There's now talk that her name reportedly triggers higher completion bond fees. Those are the insurance policies production companies use to safeguard their investments. Zegler, once viewed as the next big star, is now reportedly flagged by underwriters as a yellow light talent. Not quite a no, but definitely a caution that's code for, if you hire her, expect chaos, controversy, or worse. Cancellation agencies are also reportedly retreating. One insider from a major talent agency claimed her rep has struggled to place her in anything remotely family-friendly or brand-critical, reportedly. Even commercial tie-ins, makeup lines, fashion collabs, voiceovers are drying up. Companies don't want the risk and the irony. It's not about her talent. No one's saying she can't act. It's everything else. The off-screen interviews, the alleged ego, the never-ending viral controversies. She's not seen as a collaborator. She's seen as a liability wrapped in a ball gown. Even internally, some in her camp reportedly cautioned her early on to dial it back during Snow White's press tour. The warnings were ignored, and now everyone's watching their emails wondering if the next headline will be about her being dropped altogether. Streaming platforms might still be an option. Keyword might. There's talk that Netflix reportedly eyed her for a YA fantasy project last fall, but after Snow White's downward spiral, the deal reportedly evaporated. Hulu silent Amazon. She's not a priority, one producer reportedly leaked, and theatrical blockbusters that window might be shut for. Now, one casting director reportedly said she needs a quiet indie hit to reshape her image. Something gritty, humble, no big speeches, no musical numbers, just a raw, stripped-down role that reminds people she's more than a headline. And that's if someone's even willing to finance that gamble. Because here's the hard truth. This wasn't one PR blunder. This was a pattern, a long, public, polarizing pattern that reportedly alienated fans, frustrated journalists, and aggravated Disney to the point of regret. Her fans still exist, but the numbers aren't what they were. Her engagement has plummeted reportedly. Her follower count stalled during Snow White's release window.